Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you got in your relationship toolbox. See, everybody thinks love is about what you say, but the truth is, a whole lot of it is about what you don't say. If you want a man to be truly addicted to you, you got to master the rules of silence. These rules are not about playing games. They're about teaching respect, creating mystery, and letting him feel your value without you constantly having to prove it. Silence is one of the most misunderstood tools in a relationship, but it's also one of the most powerful. When people hear the word silence, they think about emptiness, distance, or lack of communication. But silence is far from being a weakness. Silence creates mystery, it builds attraction, and it has the ability to draw someone closer in ways words never could. In fact, the less you give away, the more a man wants to know. That curiosity becomes the spark that keeps him chasing, wondering, and leaning in to figure you out. The moment you understand the power of silence, you stop feeling the need to explain everything, and you start letting him experience the beauty of discovering you. You see, men are naturally wired to pursue. That's just the way it is. A man enjoys the challenge of figuring out the unknown. When you leave a little space, when you don't answer every question immediately, when you let the silence hang in the air just long enough, it makes him lean forward and pay attention. He starts noticing things he would have otherwise overlooked. He starts valuing the little details, like your body language, your energy, or even the way you look at him without saying a single word. That silence makes him work harder to connect, and the harder he works, the more invested he becomes. The beauty of silence is that it speaks without noise. It says you are confident, that you are not desperate for validation, and that you don't have to reveal every piece of yourself right away. A man respects that. Think about it. If you always reveal everything up front, there's no mystery left. He already knows the end of the story before he even gets to the middle. But when you practice the art of silence, you give him a reason to keep coming back, a reason to keep asking questions, a reason to keep wondering what's on your mind. That wonder is addictive. It's what makes him feel like you're someone special, not someone predictable. Silence also changes the dynamic in moments of conflict. Instead of engaging in every argument or matching his energy when he's upset, silence can stop the fire from spreading. A pause, a deep breath, and quiet strength will often make him realize the weight of his own words. Silence in those moments communicates dignity and control. You're not being passive, you're being powerful. You're saying without words, I'm not going to let you shake me. That strength will get his respect faster than shouting ever will. And here's the thing, when you do decide to speak after periods of silence, your words land harder. They carry more meaning, more weight, and more significance because they are not drowned out by constant noise. Silence gives your words a stage, a spotlight. It makes him listen. He knows if you've been quiet and then you choose to say something, it must matter. That's what keeps him hooked, keeps him attentive, and keeps him addicted to hearing what you have to say. Respect is not something you demand with words. It's something you earn with the way you carry yourself. One of the fastest ways to lose that respect is by constantly over-explaining. See, when you feel the need to justify every decision, every action, every feeling, what you're really doing is teaching a man that your confidence depends on his approval. And the truth is, a man can't truly respect a woman who doesn't respect her own choices. If you say what you mean, stand on it, and then let it be, you create an energy that commands respect without begging for it. Think about it. When someone is sure of themselves, they don't waste time over explaining. They say it once with clarity, and they move on. That's power. That's confidence. When a man sees you can hold your ground without having to write a whole speech just to justify yourself, he knows you're not someone he can play with. You've drawn a line, and you don't have to explain why that line is there. It's your boundary, it's your standard, and if he wants to be in your world, he has to honor it. That strength makes him respect you even more. On the flip side, over-explaining creates weakness. Every time you go on and on about why you did something, you're handing him all your cards. You're showing him you're worried about how he sees you. That worry is what makes him feel like he's in control of the situation. A man respects what he has to earn, not what's freely handed to him. If he knows you're going to explain yourself no matter what, he stops listening because he already expects you to break down everything for him. But if you can give him just enough and then let silence hold the rest, He starts paying attention because he realizes he doesn't have easy access to every detail. There's also another side to this. When you don't over-explain, you leave room for curiosity. You leave space for him to wonder, to ask, to pursue. That wondering draws him closer. It makes him think about you even when you're not around. It creates that pull, that magnetic energy, because you're not handing him everything on a silver platter. You're saying, if you want to know me, if you want to understand me, you're going to have to put in the work. That effort deepens his investment, and with that effort comes respect. And here's the real gem. A man might not even realize it consciously, but he craves a woman who knows when to stop talking, not because he doesn't value her voice, but because he values her certainty. Certainty is attractive. Certainty makes him feel like he's dealing with someone who knows her worth. And when a woman knows her worth, she doesn't explain it, she embodies it. That's what sticks in his mind. That's what makes him sit back and think, I can't play with her. I can't take her for granted. She's too solid for that. That's the kind of energy that makes a man respect you, value you, and stay drawn to you without you ever having to force it. Chasing is built into a man's nature. He values what he has to put effort into, and the moment something comes too easy, he takes it for granted. That's why silence is such a powerful tool. It gives him the space to chase you. When you're not always available, when you're not constantly filling the air with words or seeking his attention, it forces him to lean in, to wonder, and to move toward you. That silence makes him step up because he realizes if he doesn't chase, he might just lose something valuable. A lot of times, people make the mistake of over-giving in the beginning. They think if they talk more, share more, explain more, it will make the bond stronger. But what really happens is it removes the mystery. A man doesn't feel the need to work for something he already has in his hand. The silence, those pauses, those moments where you don't reach out first, they create a gap. And in that gap, he feels the pull to close the distance. That's when the chase begins. That's when he starts thinking about you when you're not even around, wondering what's on your mind, wondering why you haven't called, wondering how he can get your attention again. That curiosity is the fuel that drives the chase. Silence also tests a man's intentions. If you're always feeling the silence, always giving, always chasing him, you'll never know if he truly wants to be there. But when you step back, when you let the silence hang for a moment, his actions will reveal the truth. If he cares, he'll move toward you. If he's serious, he'll put in the effort. If he's genuine, he'll step up without you having to beg for it. Silence gives him the opportunity to show you who he really is, and it saves you from wasting your time on someone who isn't willing to put in the work. Another thing about silence, it builds anticipation. When you're not always quick to respond, when you don't immediately jump at every text, when you can take your time without feeling guilty, it creates a sense of value. Your attention feels like a prize, not something guaranteed. That anticipation makes him more invested because now he's not just taking what you give, he's waiting for it, he's earning it. And when a man earns something, he respects it more. Silence isn't about ignoring or playing games, it's about balance. It's about creating the space for him to show up, to chase, and to prove he's worthy of your energy. Men need that chase. Without it, they lose interest because there's no challenge. Silence keeps that challenge alive in a healthy way. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're secure enough to let him come to you. And that security is what keeps him hooked. When you let silence do the work, you're not just giving him space to chase. You're giving him the opportunity to value what he's chasing. That's the difference between being someone he talks to and being someone he can't stop thinking about. Every pause in a conversation has power. It may feel small, but those pauses are what create anticipation and curiosity. When you don't rush to fill every moment with words, you give space for thought, you give space for mystery, and you make the other person lean in just a little closer. A pause can say more than a whole speech because it lets him sit with the moment, feel the weight of it, and wonder what's coming next. That wonder is what makes him intrigued. That curiosity is what keeps him interested. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. The second it gets quiet, they rush to fill it, afraid it means disconnection or awkwardness. But what if you understood that silence is not emptiness, it's tension, and tension builds attraction? When you pause after he says something, you're telling him you're not rushing, you're not desperate, and you're not pressed to prove yourself. You're letting the moment breathe. That pause makes him question what you're thinking, makes him curious about what's on your mind, and suddenly he's more invested in the conversation because he wants to know what's hiding behind your quiet. That's the beauty of anticipation. If everything is immediate, there's no excitement. If every thought comes out without hesitation, there's no mystery. But when you pause, when you let a little silence stretch between your words, you create a rhythm that draws him in. It's the same way music works. The notes matter, but so does the space between the notes. Those spaces create the beat, the flow, the tension that makes the song addictive. Your silence is the space between the notes in the song of attraction. Without it, everything sounds flat. With it, everything feels alive. Pauses also magnify your words. If you say something powerful and then immediately rush to the next thought, he doesn't have time to take it in. But if you pause, if you let the silence sit after you speak, the words hit harder. They echo. They replay in his mind. That's what anticipation does. It keeps your voice alive even after the conversation has moved on. He starts thinking about what you said long after the moment has passed because you gave him space to absorb it. Curiosity is addictive. A man can't chase what he already knows, but he'll chase forever what he doesn't fully understand. Every pause, every moment of silence, every time you choose not to fill the air creates that sense of the unknown, and that unknown makes him want to dig deeper. It makes him think, what else is she holding back? What else is there for me to learn? What's really going on behind that quiet smile? That curiosity pulls him closer, and once he's close, he doesn't want to let go. So don't be afraid of pauses. Don't be afraid of the silence between words. Use it. Let him wonder. Let him anticipate. Let him feel that pull to chase the answer that only you can give, because every pause is not empty. It's full of power, full of energy, full of the kind of curiosity that keeps a man hooked. In every relationship, there will be moments of conflict. There will be disagreements. There will be times when tempers rise and emotions take over. The mistake most people make in those moments is thinking the louder they get, the stronger their point will land. But the truth is, shouting, arguing, or throwing words around doesn't prove strength. It just proves you lost control. Silence, on the other hand, is what protects your dignity in conflict. It's what shows you're not going to let anger pull you out of your character. See, when you argue with someone who's already upset, you're adding fuel to the fire. The more words you throw out, the hotter that fire gets. But silence works like water. It cools things down. It interrupts the cycle of back and forth. It communicates that you're not going to let someone else's emotions dictate your own. That doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't have something to say. It means you're choosing to say it at the right time when it can actually be heard. That silence keeps your dignity intact because it says you're in control of yourself and nobody can take that away from you. Another thing silence does in conflict is force the other person to face themselves. If you respond to every harsh word with more harsh words, they can point at you and see you're just as bad. But when you respond with silence, they're left with their own words echoing in the room. They're left to sit with what they said without you giving them something to fight against. That silence is powerful because it turns the mirror back on them. They start realizing, maybe I went too far. Maybe I should have handled that differently. And that realization often never comes if you keep matching their energy. Silence also gives you the time to think. When you're quiet, you're not reacting, you're processing, you're giving yourself space to decide if this battle is even worth fighting, if this issue is big enough to break your peace, or if it's just a moment of emotion that will pass. That kind of self-control earns respect because it shows you don't let anyone pull you out of who you are. You stay grounded, you stay calm, and you keep your dignity no matter what storm is happening around you. And here's the thing, when you finally do speak after being silent, your words hit harder. They carry more weight because they weren't tossed out in the heat of the moment. They come from a place of thought, of strength, of clarity. That's what makes a person stop and listen. They realize you don't speak just to fill the air, you speak with purpose. And that purpose is felt because silence cleared the way for it. There's nothing weak about silence. It's not avoidance. It's not running away. It's strategy. It's strength. It's self-respect. And when you use it in the middle of conflict, you don't just win the argument. You win the bigger battle of keeping your dignity. And once a person sees that, once they see you can't be shaken into chaos, that respect only grows deeper. Keynote 60, using silence wisely makes him value your presence more, to a 550 word Steve Harvey style speech. No subheadings, no conclusion, no mention of ladies and gentlemen. Silence is not just the absence of words, it's the presence of strength. When it's used wisely, silence becomes one of the strongest ways to make someone value you. The truth is, people appreciate what they don't always have easy access to. If your voice, your time, your attention, your energy are always available without pause, they start to blend into the background. But when you pull back, when you use silence with purpose, your presence suddenly becomes louder, more powerful, more appreciated. That's how a man learns to value you, not because you demand it, but because you teach him through silence that you are not to be taken for granted. There's something magnetic about a person who doesn't feel the need to speak all the time. When you can sit in silence and still feel confident, you give off an energy that says, I don't have to prove myself to you. That energy is attractive because it makes a man want to lean in. It makes him want to listen. It makes him curious about what's going on behind your quiet strength. And the moment he realizes your presence speaks louder than words, he starts treating you differently. He slows down. He pays attention. He values the time he gets with you because he knows you're not just going to give it away recklessly. Silence also teaches balance. When you don't always respond right away, when you don't rush to explain every move, you create space in the relationship for him to step up. That space forces him to think, forces him to miss you, forces him to reflect on the moments he has with you. The more he feels that space, the more he values the moments when you're there. He learns not to overlook your presence because he understands your presence isn't guaranteed. It's something meaningful, something worth respecting. The beauty of silence is that it leaves room for him to invest. When you're quiet, when you're not over giving or over sharing, you're giving him the chance to make the effort. If you're always talking, always filling the silence, always moving toward him, he never gets the chance to move toward you. But when you hold back even just a little, he has to close that gap. That effort he puts in creates value. And the more effort he puts in, the more value he attaches to you. Silence gives him that opportunity, and it shows him that you're not chasing. You're allowing him to do what a man is wired to do, pursue. Another thing about silence is it makes your words, your ladder, your presence more precious. Think about it. If you hear a song every hour, eventually you stop paying attention to it. But if you only hear it once in a while, when it plays, you stop and really listen. You appreciate it more because it's not constant. That's the same way silence works in relationships. When you use it wisely, you make your presence feel like a rare song, something he looks forward to, something he values, something he doesn't want to lose. That's the secret power of silence. It's not about withholding love, it's about teaching respect. It's not about creating distance, it's about deepening appreciation. And when you master it, you don't just capture his attention, you hold it because he learns that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee.